Good morning, guys. It's still morning while I'm recording this, so that's why I say that. It's 11:15, and I know I am pretty much a week behind, but I finally got around to watching the last episode today, and I really have to say this is probably, the ending of it was probably my favorite out of all of the seasons because of the way it ended. And I was kind of wrong about one of my theories. I told a friend of mine who watches it with me as well, and I'll probably tell him to check out my video here, which if he does, hello Greg. But I told him that my thing was, I thought that Brooke was going to end up the final girl, and that somehow Donna almost would have gotten there, but then at the last second somebody would have killed her. The way it ended did not, it was not what I thought, although I will take it. Especially Margaret's death, because she does fucking die. Not the way I thought she was gonna die, but that's okay. I will fucking take it. So, let's get started with this before it gets any later. So, it starts off 30 years later, or now, in 2019. Bobby, who is Jingles' son, takes an Uber or Lyft, whatever, to the camp. And the guy's like, I can't go any further, says this is closed off, whatever, blah, blah. And so Bobby was like, well, I'll have to walk the rest of the way. He says, but thank you. So he gets out, goes searching, and then he's taking pictures of, the banner where they had the stage and stuff. And he's taking all these different pictures and whatnot. And then Montana comes along. And she's like, what is that? It's a phone. And this is back in the 80s, so they don't know what Androids are, or iPhones, or anything like that. Because it's the 80s. He's like, this is my phone. She's like, no, there's no way this is a phone. And so she looked at it, and whatnot, and she asked him what year it was, and he said 2019. He was like, what? I haven't noticed anybody coming. You're the first guy, or you're the first person I've seen in over 30 years. So they're talking, and he tells her why he's there, which is to pretty much tell his father thank you for saving his life. Or, and to thank him for all the money that he's gotten throughout the years and whatnot. And, Montana takes him back to the cabin where they're chatting. And Trevor comes out. And so they're talking, and he doesn't believe that they're ghosts. He's like, you must look like Montana, blah, blah, blah. And so she takes his gun. She's like, here, why don't you shoot me? Because she's trying to prove the point that she's a ghost and that she can't die. And he doesn't want to do that because he doesn't believe it at first. And then Trevor, after she takes his hand to shoot her, which is what you see in the preview, he's like, here, take this, stab me. He's like, what? No! So he, cuts his throat, as you see in the preview. And then, when Bobby's flipping out, he starts running out the door, and they're like, oh, hey, we're alive again. So at that point, he realizes, okay, well, you guys are ghosts. And so they're talking. They're talking about how what's the fucker's name? Bruce, I guess. One of the things is that Bruce was trying to kill this one girl, and they got him first. So that's one of the things. At first, though, it shows like with Margaret, she's talking to her peeps, and she's like, why haven't the bands come yet? And her assistant's like, well, Trevor's been deterring people away because X, Y, and Z, because he found out about the band, the one band that got killed, Kaja Gugu or something. So she goes over, he stabs the tour bus tire, and then she shoots him after they get into an altercation and argument and stuff. And so she goes away, and then here comes I almost call her Billy, Montana. It's because her real name's Billy. Here comes Montana crying and saying, no, you can't die, you're gonna make it, blah blah blah. And then like what's her face? What's her fucking face? Brooke comes along and she's like, you're not gonna make it. And Montana thinks that she's going to kill him and finish the job, but she doesn't. She walks him over to Montana, and she's like, why didn't you just kill him? She's like, because I'm not like you. And then she walks away. And so Montana's all crying and stuff, and she's like, it's gonna be okay. And then the next thing you know, she turns around, and like Trevor's there fine because he's dead now. And so she's all happy about it and whatnot. And yeah. Meanwhile, all this time, Trevor's like, okay, who's the one sending the money? So while he's there, Montana, after they're in the cabin, after they told him that, Trevor got killed and Margaret were together and everything, they tell him about how Bruce was killed because, whatever, he's just a minor fuck. And Richard is a whole other story. Like, you can try to kill him, but he's going to keep coming back because he sold himself to the devil. So, they had to literally keep him on a death watch. Which means, be in the room, as soon as he comes back alive, kill him again. And I was telling my friend, I was like, wouldn't it kind of suck, just like coming back alive, only to die over and over and over and over? Like, non-stop, constant. So that took care of that. And he comes back to now, and he's laying on the floor, hogtied, basically. And the camp chef, I forget her name, along with, what's that one kid's name? What was that one kid's name? The jock dude. Not the jock. He's kind of a jock. What was his name? Chaz, I think. The white guy. So they're sitting there playing Scrabble, and then they're talking, and then he makes out with her, and then all this time while they're not paying attention, Richard gets up. The devil somehow unties him, and he comes after them, and once he goes to the one cabin, he realizes that Jingles' son there, which Jingles' son is the one that he was going to come after and kill anyways. Whereas everyone else is trying to keep him safe, just like Jingles wanted him to. And so he busts in. And so they're trying, all the dead ghosts there, they're trying to keep Richard away from Bobby. And they keep telling him to run. It's like, run away, run away. He can't, they're all going to kill him over and over. They're going to make sure he doesn't get to Bobby, pretty much. And so he's trying to run away, and then, Richard gets Bobby in the back. And they're fighting and everything, and then somebody comes along and gets Richard. And so they tell him to run, basically. But yeah. And so he goes to, because after they told him that Jingles was dead, he was trying to figure out, well, then who sent me all this money on my father's behalf? So he goes to the institution where he was at to talk to Donna. And these two guys and the ones that are in white that are in the hospital, what do you call them? Not nurses, but the people that are in the crazy homes that take the crazy people away. Nurses, whatever. I don't know, whatever you want to call them. Anyway, so they go to pick him up, to take him away. And he's like, no, no, no. Donna's there, and he's like, he said something about Camp Redwood, or if it's, Jingles, whatever. And she's like, wait, Jingles? What about him? Basically she's trying to figure out what the fuck. And he's like, they stop, and he turns around, and he says, he's my father. Jingles is my father. And so then it switches to them talking. And so they're talking back and forth about his father, and how he's not the real killer, and that Margaret was, and this, that, and the other. And he thanks her for the money. She's like, well, I didn't send you any money. At this point, she didn't realize that Brooke was still alive. Because when you look at the flashback, everyone is outside of Margaret's camp, like her little camp thing. And that includes, Donna and Brooke are inside the cabin fighting with her, and I was like, oh, maybe she's gonna die. But then Margaret does something to Brooke. I think she stabs her or something like that, or whatever. And so Donna's like, oh shit, she's dead. She's thinking this whole time she's dead, but she's not. And while they're fighting, she opens the door and tells all the ghosts to get her. And then when you actually realize now that Brooke's still alive, you find out that she's the one that's been sending the money to Bobby on his father's behalf. And she just wanted to give him a chance to have a regular life, basically. Because she's like, well, he left. He had led a normal life. And, maybe he had a chance, once he realized that he wasn't the real killer, to actually start a new life. So she sent money to Bobby so he could have his own life. And when Donna was like, why didn't you contact me to let me know that you're still alive? And she's like, oh, I tried to, but got too scared. Pretty much whenever you answered the phone, I would hang up. She was just too scared to tell her. And when it goes to back then, you find out that Ray, the black guy, was the one that helped her survive. He tried to revive her. She came back, and he's keeping pressure on her wound, and he was cleaning it up and everything with like alcohol or peroxide or something, whatever it was. And so he tried to bandage her up as much as possible and took her out of the camp and said, this is as far as I can go because I can't leave the camp. She already knows. She's like, I'm sorry that you're stuck here. You don't deserve it. And then she walks away and then passes out. And then she says that next thing she knows is that she's in a room with white lights, and so she thought that maybe she was in like heaven or something until she felt like the big gust of pain. And that's when she realized she was in a hospital. So after that, Bobby thanks her for the money and all that stuff, and so they leave, and then that's the end of Brooke that you see for the rest of the episode, or whatever, season, whatever. And so Donna's like, she was going to take him to breakfast, and he's like, no, I gotta do my thing. And she's like, she said something about him going back to the camp, and she's like, see, it always brings people back. So she was trying, I guess she was trying to deter him away, but he has some unfinished business because he felt something there, and what he felt was his father's presence and, you know, other people. So he goes back, and then at that point, that's the end of where we see Donna. But anyways, so he goes back. He's looking at the lake, everything, and Margaret's ghost, which, by the way, when all those people were there and they went to go get Margaret, they put her in a wood chipper. Like, they chopped off parts of her body and threw her in a wood chipper. But unfortunately, when Montana, which I honestly think if they didn't want her to stay on the campgrounds, well, I don't know, she probably still would have stayed on the campgrounds anyways. But they should have tossed most of her body in there first and then chopped her head off. I don't know, she probably would have been stuck there anyways regardless, but whatever. So yeah, they chopped her up, threw her body parts in a wood chipper, and I told my friend, I was like, why is this so satisfying? Like, she was such a cunt. Like, out of all the characters that Leslie Grossman plays, the one I think I probably hate the most, it's probably that one. It's probably Margaret. And then the one from last season, and then the one before that in Cult. But anyways, so her ghost sees Bobby, and they're talking, and she realizes that he is Jingles' son. And so she wants to kill him, just like Richard does. But right when she goes to stab him, Daddy comes to save the day, takes the knife with her hand, takes her hand with the knife in it, and it says, do you honestly think I will let you hurt my son? And like stabs her in the head, stabs herself in the head. And so she passes out. And then he sees his son, is like, come on, let's go. She's gonna wake up here, and blah 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 blah. But he stops and gives his dad a hug, and it was just like he was trying to figure out why he was there. Jingles was trying to figure out why Bobby was there, and he just basically wanted to tell him thank you for saving his life and for giving him a chance, and this, that, and the other, and then the bitch comes back alive, stabs Jingles in the back, and then he makes a run for it. Bobby runs for it until he sees his grandmother. And then at that point, when you see Jingles' mother, which is Lavinia, I can't pronounce her name, but whatever. Anyway, so Jingles' mom, I forgot about her, to be honest. I didn't think she was going to be in this episode, but she was. So he runs until he sees her, and then, even Margaret was just she stops in her tracks too when she sees, I should say Bobby's grandmother. Jingles' mom, whatever. The head lady who started all this shit. She looks at him, and she looks at Margaret, and then all the camp counselors are around. And basically, she's so happy to see her grandson, handsome grandson. And she tells the counselors, go ahead and basically kill her again. Get her. She says, before that, she says that her grandson is so handsome, and she touches his face, and how grandmothers do with their grandkids, whatever. And so then, after she tells them to kill her, she walks away. And she tells him to, or no, Montana is the one that tells him, leave this place and never come back, but don't forget us, and tell your children about us. So, basically they wouldn't be forgotten. So he runs away. All the while, all the counselors are stabbing, punching, kicking, whatever, beating the fuck out of, and killing Margaret. And so he runs until he gets just outside of the Camp Redwood sign. So where he's in the safe spot, basically. And so he's catching his breath since he was booking it out. And he sees, or behind him, he has a sixth sense that he sees his dad, his grandmother, and his uncle as a kid. So he slowly turns around, and they're looking at him, and as it says here, Bobby shares a tearful farewell with his family and then departs. So basically, they all got teary-eyed and stuff, and then he goes away. He walks away. And then that's pretty much the end of the episode. It was a really good episode. I don't know, it's one of my favorites out of all of these seasons. It's just because the way it ended with the family thing there. So, it was really good. I like it. One of the best seasons so far. My friend says Apocalypse is number 1 in his book, but this is a close second. And I kind of agree. I don't know, they're kind of neck and neck to me. I like them both. But that's about it. Really good season. Interesting. I was kind of sad because I had 8 minutes left of the episode, and I'm like, what? It's almost over already? What else are they going to do? But they packed in a lot in 8 minutes, let me tell you. It was a lot. Anyways, let me know what you guys think. I'm sure someone's going to make another, I know they're probably going to make another, theory, like, not theory, timeline of all the seasons, including this one that just came, you know, whatever, if they haven't already. Anyways, I'm going to go before it gets too late. I got a few things to do before I have to get ready for work, and I will talk to you guys later. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and please subscribe, share, all that fun stuff. Talk to you guys later. Bye, y'all.